Hello, this is Judy and welcome to my YouTube channel. Today I'm working on a layout for Scraptember 2022 and this is the first layout, day one. And the prompt for today is stitching. So this is put on by a great group of girls and it is so phenomenal. It gets a lot of people into scrapbooking and getting their memories in books. So if you want to follow along, there's a playlist. Make sure you check it out. A lot of great inspiration. Now, I don't do stitching, but I do have stamp sets that have stitching. So I pulled this one out. This is a new one, and I believe it is together with the triangles. Yes, it is. So I'm going to have an extra element with the stitching with those triangles, and that's fine. I have other stitching stamps, but I wanted to bring out the new ones. I haven't used this one yet, so it'll be fun to get that into play. The second thing I did was bring in our new paper from Close to My Heart. It's Flower Shop. It has a lot of great sentiments on it for titles like Cherish Always and Happy Together and things like that. And the reason for that is because I'm going to scrapbook my grandson's birth and a couple pictures from the baby shower, my daughter before she had the baby, and the day of his birth. So, yes, I need to get them in the book. He's already a year old. I'm getting behind. So, I'm going to use this stamp set in my layout, and I'm going to use this layout as inspiration. I do have this ballet, but there's really nothing in it that goes with a baby other than these stars. I thought I'd bring those in. But this little stamp set's really cute. Worth the wait, new kid on the block, all those things I can use. And Grandma's little man, he's so cute. So I will be using this stamp set for some elements in my layout. It's got the onesie die cut, so cute. And then this stamp set as well, this goes with the Flower Shop paper really well. I love this flower. It's a great big, like, Gerber daisy, I guess you would call it. It's just so nice. I like it. I don't know why. So those are the things that I brought out. So I'm going to keep this layout out for inspiration. And find some papers that go along with these pictures. I'll probably start out with a white daisy background. And of course there is the sapphire blue that goes with this, so I could use this paper. And I just need some papers. I'm going to use a little bit of squares, and look at that capri dot. And I also need a paper for the stripes, but look at here, stitching here. I can use that zip strip, and I love the yellow. I don't want to go with too much of the flowers, but the yellow would be good. This pink stripe, probably not, right? But this stripe I could use. That little bit of pink would be okay. And I believe that's flamingo. Yes. And here's that blue daisy flower that I like so much. I could use that for a boy. I'm okay with that. Let's see. A yellow chevron and a green check. Both of those would be good. And then a really pretty flower. I could use this. I think that would be okay. This, probably not. But that zip strip looks good too. So I've got a lot of options. I'm going to cut some things down and I'll be back with what I come up with. Okay, I got a lot of things put together. And I did get the little onesie out and I die cut a few of them out of the Capri cardstock. I did get some scraps of the avocado and the Capri and the, well, I think this is New England Ivy, even though pine goes with this collection. I had scraps of New England Ivy, and it's so close that I don't think anyone would ever know. And then I did sapphire, and I had some of these strips from another project I worked on, so I thought I'd use some of that. I always like to use up my scraps. So these are the two zip strips I'm going to put on the bottom. And I did cut the white daisy down to 11.5 by 11.5 and put it on the sapphire cardstock. And let's see what else the sketch had. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is adhere my zip strips. Now there's only one in the sketch, but I'm going to do 2 because you can, remember, you can use a sketch for inspiration. You can follow it closely or you can follow it loosely. And I'm going to line this up with my Versamat so that I make sure that I get my strips straight. That's one great thing about these Versamats. All right, and don't use a nail polish remover on top of them because it does take off the print. All right, so I'm going to pull out my Tombow Mono Liquid Aqua Glue, and this is a great glue. You only need a little bit. You use too much, it is water-based, so it could wrinkle your paper, but you know, just a little bit works great, and it dries very good and has a great hold. So if I go at 1/2 and 1/2, that helps me to line it up precisely there. And I hope that's on camera. I'm trying to keep track to make sure my videos don't lose footage. Oh my goodness. I see people in other videos and say, oh, I lost the footage, oh, I lost the footage. I'm like, I know how you feel. It's just awful. My phone turns off, or I found out what happens, and some of them is the phone setting is at a higher rate of something. I don't know the word, so that you get a good quality video. But for what I'm doing, I really don't need that higher rate because it just takes up so much space and it takes so long to download. And my phone was just like, this is too much, and it would just shut off. And that's what it was doing. It was just shutting off because it was so much space that it was taking up. In the photos, I like cutting them down to all one size. And I had one photo I cut down, so it's 4 by 6 with the mat. So I cut it down 1/4 of an inch off of each, off of 2 sides, so it's 1/8 of an inch border. But all the other photos are 3.5 by 5. And I like that size. It's a different size. I think we used to have pictures in the olden days that were that size. And maybe that's why I like it. I don't know. But it's big enough, but it's smaller than a 4 by 6. And as opposed to the 3 by 4s. So I'm going to go 1/2 an inch up and 1/2 an inch, and I don't have that precisely on there, so let's get that straight. And the nice thing about liquid glue is you have just a little bit of wiggle time. Wiggle room, wiggle time. All right. So this is going to go right at the top. And this is my faux stitching. Now I'm going to do my stamping. And I cut all these little squares that are 1.5 by 1.5. And the stamp I'm going to get from that other stamp set with the ballerinas. Okay, here's the ballerinas. This is a really pretty set. My daughters were ballerinas when they were younger, so I need to get those photos out and scrapbook them. I have so many photos. I'll never run out of photos to scrapbook. All right, so I'm bringing out my 1 by 1 block, and I'm going to stamp this little star. And I think I'm going to do it in the sapphire. And I'm going to do it here. And this is why I put the zip strips down first, so I could line my stamping up. All right, I finished my stamping. I'm going to leave it on the block though, because I think I will add it in other areas of the layout. Now I'm going to put my photos on the mats, and these are all 1/4 inch on each side bigger for 1/8 of an inch border. So I'm going to get them down and then see how I can have them arranged before I go any further. So this is basically the layout I've come up with to try to leave as much room for a couple of these squares with the colors. Now I am going to ink the edges of these white ones, the ones with the white base, because they are lost with the white daisy behind them. These ones that are solid, they're fine, but these 4, let's see. So I'm going to go ahead and do that, and then I'm going to use my T-square to line these up. Let me just put a little border where I know these photos are going to be. So I know I can have some squares here, and I don't have to put squares behind the photos is what I'm trying to do. Let's see. So this one will be basically there. And I can erase these before I put them down. All right. I have to remember which ones go where. 2, 3, under. I like to get as many photos on the layout as I can. So I'm going to ink the edges of all my paper. And you can use a sponge dauber, you can use a foam, you can use whatever you want to use. I just generally will run my paper along the edge of the ink pad. And you could run it along the top, but sometimes I'll get ink farther in on the paper than I want. And I only want enough to distinguish it from the background. And I'm not going to put it on here because the ink might still be wet and then it will leave ink spots. So I learned that by experience. And even though this is green, I'm going to keep them all the same so that they have a cohesive feel, that they all go together. You just see the difference. All right, I made sure I had pieces of each design on each page, at least once. A couple of them I had extras. So now I'm going to make some lines, and this is a very old stitching template. So stitching, right? It's supposed to be what I'm doing. I put a little bit of adhesive on the Versamat to keep my page steady as well. And I just want to make sure that I don't have straight lines where the edge of the photo is going to be. I want them to have different intersecting areas. So here. So they're 1.5. So I want to go 1 1/2 plus 1/8. So I'm measuring from the lines on the Versamat. So then I will go to 1 1/2 plus 1/8. So there, so 7 3/4. If that makes sense. That's how I do my guidelines. Now, the pieces in the sketch or the layout in the catalog were off center, so the next one would be 1/2 and 1/2. All right, so let's get some of those laid out and see what they look like with the photos. And I don't want to have any of them be like a pattern and a pattern. I want to try and keep them separated as much as possible. If I can't, it's okay. So this one will go half and half. Let's see, a solid. Let's do a yellow. Because that really reads as a solid. Both of those do, actually. This floral I would like to show more. About this green. Yeah. All right. So now they filled these areas in with stamping, so I can do that. I think, no, there's a photo there, so I don't need anything there. And then this one I can do this. I'll bring that yellow over. Now there's green mats on all the photos, so I'm not worried about the green. I think I might need one here. So that's all the pieces on this side. So let's see. I'm just going to have her. This one goes here. And this one goes here. I think they were overlapping, yes. And then this one will go here. All right. So I can have one here. This one is not going to show. That looks good. Okay, so this area here can be for my title, and I can add a little extra stamping in these two areas, maybe something here. So I'm okay with this one. So now I've got to get these lines on this side and do the same thing. Okay, it looks like I've got everything pretty nicely laid out and set. You Are Truly Amazing was the one I wanted to use over here. And I think I might be able to fit it up here. And then over here, I'm going to have to think on what to do over here because none of these really are speaking to me. So we will leave that for now. I might have to put You Are Truly Amazing over here and then use something special over here. We'll see. All right, so I'm going to get these laid down and erase everything before I start, because I don't want to have any of my pencil lines showing. But these white erasers, I got them at Walmart, and they erase everything really nicely. And right now with school, it's a good time to pick up things like that. And I'm going to use my liquid glue to attach these down so that I can have everything straight. And a little time to wiggle it if I don't get it straight. Oh, this is on double-sided adhesive, so I'm going to put that down. This was made with strips of scrap paper. I had a whole bunch of strips left over from a project. So I just took a roll of the double-sided adhesive and laid strips all the way across it, and then I cut it up to use as embellishing pieces. And now I erase that line and don't know where it was. So is it 4.5 and 4.5? Okay. And we will put this, I think I was going to go sideways with it. All right, now with that there, I'll be able to arrange everything else. And sometimes I like to use a thin little piece of paper to put in between my pieces, like that, so that they're all the same width apart. I don't like how it's flopping up on me. All right, maybe that'll be better. It's not rocket science. But boy, when these squares are off, my eye really can see it. All right. Took the title off of the sticker sheet, and I'm thinking it's going to go here. Doesn't fit here very well, so I think it's going to go here, but the white on the white is going to blend in. So what I'm going to do is use a dauber to add some shading behind here. And I think I will do it with the honey butter. And always test your dauber to make sure it has the color you want on it. And this has a really light yellow. And you can add as much or as little as you want. With the title over it, not a lot will show. It'll just give like a light shadow. It's a really great tip. And I think I'll pop it up on foam tape as well. All right, I really like how that looks. I moved it over a little bit to have that little descender from the Z hanging right in that corner. And now that I have this yellow here, I need to bring it over here. And one tip when you're using a dauber with ink like this, rub it, when you first put ink on it, rub it off on some scrap paper to get the wetness off of it, so you don't get a dot of ink. It just helps it blend better. You don't get a circle from the dauber on your page. You just get a nice blended look. So let's see if you even can see that. No. All right. Yep. All right, so now you can see the truly amazing there. And how I brought that color here. And again, in 3 spots, because odd numbers are more pleasing to the eye. So 1, 2, 3. And now I can just do some embellishment. Now I'm going to stamp the onesies, and I'm going to use the sapphire ink because I've been using sapphire ink all along. And these are really easy to line up. The stamps are so high quality. And because there's clear, you can line it up very nicely. Sometimes with die cuts, I will keep the piece that it's cut out of and put it in my MISTI and line it up that way if I'm going to do a whole bunch. But being I've only got 2, and I might have to do a 3rd one, but I think I will do a cluster with something other than a onesie. So there's 2 of them. All right, so I stamped here. This isn't tucked down yet, but I'm thinking right here. The other one, let's see, there it is. Baby up here. I'm not quite sure yet how it's going to fit. I might have to move it down here and put something else up there, but I didn't want to have 2 onesies down on the bottom. Could put it up here. But this is the place where I think I'm going to have it. So I also stamped New Kid on the Block there. So remember the stitching stamp in the beginning, this one? So I was thinking about putting it up and down the blocks like I was stitching them down, and I could. They almost fit perfect. but I think it might be too distracting. I like the simplicity it is right now, so I'm thinking I might do a border at the top with the sapphire ink. I think that would look really cute. It would help balance the lines down here, up here. So let's do that. And I haven't used this stamp yet. The other ones are new too, but I seasoned them off camera. That looks good. Just use them a couple times, wipe them down, make sure they're clean, and generally they work pretty good. Oh, that looks good. Make sure it's on camera. Okay. It's just a little bit too long, so I'm going to bring this over just to make sure I don't stamp on that blue. All right. I like it. All right, so let me do the other one. Now it's time for some finishing touches, and I found this tag, and I thought about putting it here, but let me see if you're on. I thought about putting this green flag up here, but it's way too big, and it really doesn't look good, right? So that's a no-go. So I thought I'd go to the sticker sheet and see what I could use here. There are some flags and things that are here, but I love this little word sticker here. And my dog found something to drag along the floor. I'm sorry. All right, so I'm going to pop this up on some foam adhesive. I think they'll just fit. Nope, they're too big. Let me get a smaller one. I can use my scissors to cut these. And this is leftover adhesive or foam from the circle shaker pieces. So let's see. I want to put it just a little bit on the photo. So let me move this over a little bit. Maybe. Sticker on sticker, yeah. All right, I think I got it. And that'll give a little something for this to sit on. Oh, that's much better. All right. Now I want to add a little dimension to the onesie as well. So let's just ink the edges. Let's see, this looks blue, right? You never know though. So we're just going to drag this along the edge to add a little shadow there. I don't want to put it on right away. See, that's what I meant by the circle. That really intense little bit there. It's like just takes the edge off. All right. There we go. I think I'll pop this up on foam too. And we'll do the same with this one. And the next thing, I think I want to bring in a couple pink hearts. I'm okay with it. My daughter will be okay with it. she had very, very long, intense labor. It was back and forth with this child, so he definitely was worth the wait, right? But oh, it was a rough labor. So I want to make sure I put some little pink hearts on there because she did a great job for her first baby. So I got my 3 pink hearts. And let's do some yellow stars. I love how they put these little filler stamps on the stamp sets. Let's put one down here. All right. And now I brought out some enamel dots that I had in my stash. No idea where they're from, but they're the perfect color, right? So I'll put some of these around. Looks good to me. So now I just have my journaling that I will do off camera, and it's done. I'll have close-ups at the end. I'm not going to add any shimmer brush or splatters or anything. I like it just the way it is. So have a great day. I hope you enjoyed this. Take care.